Okay, good afternoon. Let's have our supplemental discussion for lesson 13. Our topic is investigating kidnapping and serious illegal detention. Okay, so marami naman dito. Okay, what law punishes the crime for kidnapping and serious illegal detention? Revised Penal Code Article 267 is amended by RA 7659. Yun po yung law na nagpapanish siya. Kidnapping and serious illegal detention. What are the elements of kidnapping and serious illegal detention? Any private individual who shall kidnap or detain another or in any other manner deprive him of his liberty. That's the element for kidnapping and serious legal detention. But before we proceed, meron tayong nakalagay na tinatawag natin arbitrary detention. Ang pinagkaiba nitong arbitrary detention is it is committed by a public official, especially yung mga police officers, kung saan may hinuli sila or may na-arrest silang tao na walang legal ground o kaya wala silang basihan, inarrest nila yung tao, that will fall under uh, arbitrary detention. O kaya naman inarrest nila, tapos hindi sila nag-file ng kaso within the prescribed period of time. Prescribed period under the law, the 12 hours, 16 and 18. Ay, 12, 18 and 36 hours. Dapat mapalaya na yun. Pag hindi nila napalaya yun, pwede silang makasuhan ng arbitrary detention. Okay? And the second element, the kidnapping detention shall have lasted more than 3 days. Okay? Pag more than 2 days lang, pag less than 3 days, hindi pa yun pasok sa kidnapping or detention. Okay? Missing pa lang. And pag more than 2 days na, pwede na siyang pumasok under kidnapping or detention. Any serious physical injuries shall have been inflicted upon the person kidnapped or detained or if threats to kill him shall have been made. So, kung may physical injury, kung meron ng force na ni-apply, that will fall under kidnapping. Kung hindi, detention pa lang yun. Okay? The person kidnapped or detained shall be a minor except when the accused is any of the parents, female or public officer. Okay? The person kidnapped or detained shall be a minor. Kailangan minor. Okay? Ay, shall be a minor. Kung minor daw yun, except when the accused is any of the parents, female or public officer. Okay? And other analogous. Note, na-typo tayo dyan. Hindi na kami yung point dyan. The offense is actual confinement or restraint of or deprivation of victim's liberty. So, meron tayo kasi tinatawag dun sa Constitution na no person shall be deprived of liberty uh, unless may due process. Kung example na napatawan siya ng final judgment na makulong. So, that's a valid case para i-detain siya or merong yun yung pwede maging valid reason para ma-deprive siya ng liberty. Pero kung wala naman, could be kidnapping or arbitrary detention. Ransom is the money demanded as a condition for release of a person being deprived of liberty or any other persons. Even none of the circumstances above is present, kidnapping or serious illegal detention was still committed. Okay? Kahit wala pang ransom or yes, okay, kahit hindi pa yan sinasaktan, pero kung may ransom, kidnapping pa rin yan. The offense of kidnapping connotes transporting of the offended party from one place to another, while legal detention focuses on one restraint of his liberty, locomotion, without necessarily transporting him from one place to another. So, yung illegal detention naman, the only difference is that it will uh, cause the liberty of the person to be deprived sa kidnapping. And then he or she will be transported while in Sorry guys, medyo sutil yung mga estudyante kasi. The offense of kidnapping connotes transporting the offended party. So yun sa kidnapping, ang ibig sabihin nun is the victim will be transported from one place and at the same time, she or he will be detained. Pero sa illegal detention naman, there's no need na i-transport siya, kundi kailangan lang is siya ay ma-detained or ma-deprive yung liberty niya. Okay? Next. Serious illegal detention is committed when the illegal detention lasts for 3 days or the offended party is a minor, female, public officer. Or even when the detention lasts only 4 minutes or committed by simulation of authority or threats to kill are made and physical injuries are inflicted. So yung serious illegal detention, uh, when the illegal detention lasts for 3 days or the offended party is a minor naman, a female or a public officer, even when the detention lasts only 4 minutes, or committed by simulation of authority or threats to kill are made and physical injuries are inflicted. So, pag may infliction na yan may infliction na yan or threat sa buhay ng isang na-detain na tao, illegally detained na tao, that constitutes serious illegal detention. Okay? So, when the victim is killed or dies as a consequence of the detention or is raped or is subjected to future or dehumanizing acts, the maximum penalty, death shall be imposed. Okay? Yung victim namatay o kaya naman na-rape siya or subjected to future dehumanizing acts, yung mga cruel na ginagawa sa kanila, mutilation, like that, ang kaparusahan doon is death. O kaya naman, pwede rin silang, ay no, sorry. Since that is abolished or, I mean, suspended, life imprisonment. What is the evidence needed to file a crime of kidnapping and serious illegal detention? Okay? So first is testimonial evidence, documentary evidence, and we have the object evidence and other relevant evidences. Pag when you say relevant, lahat ng evidences or lahat ng pruweba na pwedeng gamitin as long as it is relevant to the case, you can use that as an evidence. Testimonial evidence, affidavit of complaint, and witnesses. And again, as I have said a while ago, personal knowledge is very important as a witness for a witness. Okay? To be qualified as a witness, you should have a personal knowledge. Documentary evidence naman yung photographs, videos, police reports. Dun sa photographs yung pwede yung mga picture. Example, yung My Day ng victim, kung saan yung last na picture niya, kung nasaan siya, and yung videos kung sino yung last na kasama niya, or CCTV cameras wherein kung saan siya dinampot and then itinakbo, nasa CCTV naman siguro yun, if ever. Police reports, kailangan din yan, na nagpapatunay na nawawala siya. Okay sir, pa-blatter natin kung isang tao kasi nawawala siya, missing. So, that will serve as reference also in the future if in case na makakasuhan ay mahuhuli at makakasuhan yung tao ay yung suspect, okay? And other relevant evidences. Investigation procedures on kidnap for ransom incidents. When we say kidnap for ransoms, ito yung usually or very popular sa television na napapanood natin wherein yung mga kidnappers, they are asking the parent or either the family of the victim na magbigay ng pera o kaya naman magbigay ng anuman na kapalit. For example, bigyan nyo kami ng chopper o bigyan nyo kami ng sasakyan. Kung hindi mo bibigay ito, papatay na. Bibigay ka ng 5 milyon, 10 milyon. Kung hindi, papatay itong anak mo. So that's example of kidnap for ransom. Investigation procedures on kidnap for ransom incidents. Introduction. The crime of kidnap for ransom is not only a serious crime, it is also a critical, life-threatening incident violating the victim's freedom. Furthermore, it undermines human rights, okay? yung kidnap for ransom. By nature, it is heinous crime that has become social menace due to its adverse effect on the security, peace and order, political and economic stability of the government. Its prevalence raises fears and doubts among the general public and discourages investments. The objective of section is to provide police investigators with a practical tool in strengthening their capacity and effectiveness in the investigation of kidnap or ransom. So, sabi dyan, it's a social menace. Napaka destructive talaga ng kidnap for as a crime. It is considered a heinous crime. Isa siya sa pinaka uh, masamang krimen na pwedeng magawa ng isang suspect or ng isang offender. It also affect the security, peace and order of kasi pag may nakidnap, lahat ng tao pwedeng matakot, ala, uso na naman ang kidnapping. So, matatakot na silang lumabas, yung mga anak nila. Okay naman, political and economic stability, yung discourages investment. Paano kayo mga foreigners? Uy, talamak ang kidnapping sa Pilipinas. Baka mamaya makidnap tayo. Huwag na tayo pumunta. Huwag na tayo mag-invest. So, ang nangyayari is, uh, hindi na sila tumutuloy. So, that's one of the bad effect or disadvantage of kidnap for ransom. The kidnap is what is kidnap for ransom, the unlawful taking and carrying away of a person by force or fraud, or against his will, or in a manner depriving him of his liberty for the purpose of extorting ransom as payment for his release. Yan po yun. Okay, elements of kidnap for ransom. The offender is private individual. He kidnaps or detains another, or by any means deprives the latter for of his liberty. The act of detention and kidnapping must be illegal. Okay? The purpose of kidnapping is to extort ransom from the victim or any of the person. Okay? Ito yan. One of the elements requires that the offender must be a private individual. Okay? Private individual. Kasi pag public individual yan, public officer or official, it will constitute arbitrary detention. Okay? If the if the offenders are police officers who kidnap, no, sorry, iba yan. Iba yan, kidnapping lang yun. Pero pag kidnap for ransom, iba. If the offenders are police officers who kidnap, detain, and deprive another's liberty for the purpose of extorting ransom, these officers are committing the crime of kidnap for ransom in private capacity. Ibig sabihin, they are considered as private individuals na din kasi they already forget about their call of duty or their mandates. Okay? They can be held liable for KFR, kidnapping for ransom or kidnap for ransom because they acted not in the line of duty. Kidnap, detain, and deprive a person's liberty for ransom or personal reason. In a case entitled People of the Philippines versus PO2 Murphy Odin et al. PO2 Murphy Odin, PO1 Kasem Ote, PO1 Pepeñano Razos kidnap, detain, and deprive Amelia Liberty Barreto's liberty on July 18, 2003 in QC for the purpose of extorting ransom. Honorable Judge Alexander S. Balut of Barangay 76 QC RTC sentenced the three policemen to suffer penalty of reclusion perpetua. Pag reclusion perpetua, that is 20 years to 1 day to 40 years. So, ang nangyari na rin dyan, uh, di ba dapat ang pag nag-detain ng isang tao ay ang isang police or public officer without legal grounds, di ba? Arbitrary detention. Since they are extorting money or ransom, it is in their private capacity na daw. It is considered as their private capacity, hindi na as a police officer. So, yun. Pumapasok na sa KFR. Ngayon, let's proceed to the next slide. Key elements in responding to KFR. Remember, this is specialized crime investigation. Kung paano ituturo natin ito yung kung paano yung pag-investigate natin at yung pag-respond. Any alleged KFR is a serious incident with potentially life-threatening consequences. Its investigation requires the collection, timely analysis, and careful and effective use of information. Investigators, especially the case officer, will be required to exercise judgment and to make difficult decisions. Many acts of kidnapping are well planned, though sometimes it may occur at the spur of the moment. Regardless of the motive, each kidnapping is likely to be unique and extremely challenging for law enforcement authorities. It is vital for police staff at all levels to be trained to understand the basic principles of countering KFR and their own potential role is in reacting to it. The skills and experience of case officers and prosecutors vary. In some countries, the rate of kidnapping continues to be low, but it is still necessary to be prepared to deal effectively with KFR cases should they occur. Regardless of these differences, it is possible to identify a number of key elements or general principles in an investigation of an alleged kidnapping that are common to most cases and which the case officers need to consider. So it is very important for anti-kidnapping uh, police unit. Meron magkaroon tayo ng anti-kidnapping group. Okay? So sa PNP, meron silang anti-kidnapping investigation unit doon. Sabihin ko na lang later on kung ano yung proper na tawag natin doon. Dali lang, search na natin. PNP and PNP. Okay, yun tama. PNP or Philippine National Police Anti-Kidnapping Group. Yan po yung agency sa PNP. Ay, yun sa PNP na responsible sa anti-kidnapping. So, yun, it is very important for them to be proactive. Meron silang plano kung ano yung gagawin in case na magkaroon ng kidnapping. And of course, alam nila kung ano yung approach na i-apply nila. Okay? Objectives of kidnapping for ransom investigation. Number one, the objectives of kidnapping for ransom investigation are as follows. To preserve life. Ang pinaka-importante is preserve natin yung life. Kasi consider parang hostage sila eh. It is considered kasi sa kidnapping na i-preserve ang life ng victim. To ensure prompt and safe return of the victim. That's the second. Protect and support the family of the victim. That's the third. To ensure public safety, that's fourth. And to gather information, intelligence, and evidence leading to the solution of the case, eventual arrest and conviction of the offenders. Yan po yun. Ito po yung mga objectives ng kidnapping for ransom investigation. Procedures to be undertaken during kidnapping for ransom incident. Responsibility ng desk officer, record the incident in the police blotter as a missing person case for validation. Okay, kailangan i-record natin na yung biktima ay missing person. Gawin natin sa blotter yan. Immediately inform the chief of police of the incident. So, kailangan yung chief of police i-notify natin para mag-deploy siya at gumawa siya ng task force para dun sa kidnapping. Yeah. Responsibility of the chief of police. The chief of police, upon validation of the KFR incident, shall refer the case to the Crisis Management Committee or yung tinatawag nating CMC. They are responsible for investigation of kidnap for ransom cases. And also with the anti-kidnapping group. For KFR victims, suspect intercepted in a checkpoint. Kung yung nahuli sa checkpoint yung mga suspect, refer to General Investigative Procedures, Chapter 3 of Investigative Procedures. If the case is KFR, blotter the incident as missing persons case. And inform the Chief of Police as soon as possible. The COP will initially take cognizance of the case and make a formal turnover of the case to the CMC. Okay, ganun po yung proseso natin. Prohibition. Do not send a patrol car or police officer to the scene unless alleged KFR needs immediate action and occurring in public view. The purpose of law of this prohibition is to avoid any indication that the law enforcement agencies have been informed of the KFR incident. So, ang dapat gamitin ng PNP or ng law enforcers sa pag-conduct ng KFR, kidnapping for ransom investigation, is yung hindi markado ng PNP na mobile cars. Yung mga mobile cars dapat na hindi alam ng mga suspect na sa police pala. So they will use their private vehicles o kaya naman yung mga PNP mobile cars na hindi talaga ano tawag doon, hindi talaga nilelevelan ng PNP. Like nung sa CIDG, meron silang mga mobile cars na walang labels. Okay? Ngayon, yun ang dapat gamitin. Para sa ganun, pag kasi na-alarm yung mga suspect, pwede silang gumawa ng karumal-dumal sa victim. Baka pwede nilang mapatay yun. So, it's better na hindi alam ng public din, hindi rin alam yung suspect. Kasi pag alam ng public, baka mamaya may malaman din yung mga suspect out of the, ay from the public. O kaya naman, from news, okay, may kidnapping po nangyari, nagkakado ng PNP, okay. Hindi napanood yun ng mga suspect. Ni alarm, they are already alarmed, alam na nilang gagawin nila. Kasi nga, nasabi na ng media na may kidnapping pala na nangyari. Okay? Duties of the investigator assisting in the investigation of KFR cases. Assist in the conduct of victimology. Okay? Mag-conduct sila ng victimology. When we say victimology, it is the study of the role of the victim. Kung bakit siya nabiktima. Baka pa-victim ba siya or hindi, di ba? Okay. In case the abandoned motor vehicle used in the kidnapping is recovered, anong gagawin? Treat the motor vehicle similar to a crime scene. Secure a motor vehicle and request for SOCO assistance. Refer to General Investigative Procedure, Chapter 3, Investigative Procedure. Ang gagawin niyo doon, mag-crime scene processing sila doon. Investigation procedures in handling kidnap or ransom incident. So, okay. Accomplishment of a complaint document, assignment of case, assignment of case, sino yung investigator on case na i-assign nila. Written report, so based on the initial investigation, the investigator on case and the case officer should prepare a written report. Taking of statements, so saan? Yung taking of statements, kailangan yung investigator on case should take the sworn statement of the complainant and witnesses. Pag sinabi natin sworn statement, it will be ang tawag doon, mag-o-oath sila under oath, magsosorb sila. Okay, kung hindi tama yung sinabi nila, pwede sila makasuhan ng perjury. If arrested suspect, pag huli ng suspect, willing siya magbigay ng confession, he should be assisted by a counsel of his own choice. Kasi nga, baka pag wala, nag-confess yung extrajudicial confession ang tawag natin doon, pero hindi yun nasaksihan ng isang attorney or lawyer, hindi yun magiging admissible sa kaso ng korte. The taking of a statement from a female victim shall be made by a female investigator. Male is to male, female is to female. Determine of modus operandi, yung mode operation, kung paano sila gumalaw. Conduct of victimology. Okay, tapos na yan. Conduct of neighborhood investigation. Kailangan malaman din from the neighbors kung ano yung profile or status ng suspect on a victim. Para sa ganun, may hint kung ano yung may hint yung mga police officer kung ano yung behavior ng suspect ng victim. Release of the victim. Debriefing should be conducted by the crisis management. Okay? Crisis Management Committee, sorry. Debriefing should be conducted by the CMC after the release of the victim from the custody of the kidnappers and submit the victim to medical examination. Kailangan ng medical examination para malaman kung may na-inflict ba sa kanya na injury or wala. Na-rape ba siya or hindi. Kasi pag na-rape siya, reclusion perpetua. The investigator on case death penalty. The investigator on case should then take the victim's statement. All relevant and material facts occurred during the victim's captivity must be included in the statement to strengthen the case against the respondent. Okay? When we say debriefing naman guys, it refers to the information dissemination of the team at ng mga investigator at ng mga police officers na conduct ng anti-kidnapping forensic. So, i-debrief nila, isisiwalat nila yung information na nakuha nila after the operation. Backtracking, conducted after the release of the KFR victim from the hands of the kidnappers, to gather and trace evidence needed by the investigator handling the case. The purpose of backtracking is to return to the previous places traveled by the kidnappers during the victim's abduction for gathering of valuable investigative leads in the identification of kidnappers and location of their house, safe house. So, babalikan nila yung mga bahay, yung mga area kung saan nag-stop or yes, na malagi yung mga kidnappers. Hot pursuit, ito yung panghahabol ng mga pulisya doon sa mga kidnappers using their mobile phone. Lawful warrantless arrest. Okay? O, hindi na natin kailangan ikuha yan. Alam niyo na yan. Recovered evidence. Photograph and make inventory with complete markings upon recovery of evidences. Photograph ang pinakauna. Before you move any evidence, photograph and document it. And make an inventory with the complete markings upon recovery of the evidence. Ano ba yung mga evidence siya? Pwede mga baril, lahat-lahat, damit, o kaya naman ano ba yung mga kasuotan ng mga kidnapper, ng suspect, ng victim. For cell phone message used in negotiation for the release of KFR victim, preserve it and inform the service provider immediately. Sino yung service provider? Kung sino yung nagbibigay ng internet o kaya ng PLDT, smart globe, para sa ganun, in case na mag-delete sila, or si Facebook pala, in case na mag-delete sila ng messages, pwede nung may backup. Okay. Sabi nga natin kanina, pag yung motor vehicle sa PFR, treat the evidence as motor vehicle similar to crime scene. Ulitin natin, similar to crime scene ang trato natin sa kanila. Record the circumstances of recovery and conduct technical inspection in the presence of two witnesses. Okay, secure the evidence vehicle and direct the investigator concerned to assist the SOCO for proper processing. Proper examination of the evidence vehicle will reveal the presence of evidence that may provide the investigator with valuable investigative lead and to build a strong case against the respondents. Determine the registered owner of the evidence motor vehicle with the land transportation. Okay. So yung plate number kasi ng sasakyan, pwede natin yan i-input dun sa system ng LTO at malalaman na natin agad ang owner. Kung hindi naman yung chassis number at engine number ang isa-search natin, malalaman pa rin natin yung plate number niya at yung sino yung owner. Okay? That's how we track. For evidence firearm naman, determine the registered owner through the PNP Firearms and Explosives Division or PED. Okay, coordinate na tayo. Kidnapper safe house is located. Ano gagawin natin? Coordinate with local police and SOCO to investigate and process the crime scene. Fingerprints of the KFR victim lifted in the crime scene is a proof that he or she was kept therein. Pieces of DNA evidence of the victim and suspect must also be preserved. Okay? DNA evidences. Ano ba yung mga pwedeng DNA evidences? Ano yung specimen? Blood samples, seminal stains, blood stains, hairs, okay, body parts na pilsa-pilsa kung meron, kung may nakuha, as long as it is not yet contaminated. Proper examination of the SH or safe house or crime scene will reveal the presence of evidence that may provide investigator with valuable investigative leads and build a strong case against the respondent. So, kung nalaman natin kung may mga fingerprints na iwan doon tapos meron siyang record pala sa pulisya, pwede natin malaman kung sino yung, kung ano yung identity, kung sino yung mga kidnappers or suspect. Artist sketches of suspect. So, meron tayo yung facial composite. Ang ginagamit doon is yung computer. Dati, dinodrawing manual yun. Sinasabi nung witness kung ano itsura niya. Yung the way the witness the way the witness described the person is called portrait parley. Okay? Portrait parley to describe. Okay? Rogues Gallery, ito naman yung sets of pictures ng victim ay ng mga suspect, okay? Para ipapakita natin sa mga witnesses o kaya kung sa family member, kung sino yung nakakita dun sa biktima na na-kidnap ng mga taong yun. Kung may picture, drugs gallery, yung pictures ng mga suspicious na tao, yung mga pwedeng na-kidnap or wanted dati, kung kamukha nila, at least pwede siyang ma-identify agad through the drugs gallery. Ito yung sets of pictures ng mga taong wanted o kaya naman criminal. Invitation of suspects. Invitation of suspects to appear before the investigating office should be signed by the chief of office or his deputy and duly recorded in a logbook intended for this purpose. The result of invitation should be filed in the case folder to form part of the records of the case. Invitation of the suspect to appear before the investigating office is a part of custodial investigation. Until RA 5487, or the law on, uh, um, if I'm not mistaken, 5487 ata yun. Oh, yes, 7438 pala. Under RA 7438, an act defining certain rights of persons arrested, detained, or under custodial investigation. Ang ibig sabihin yan, the questioning of persons invited in connection with that offense he is suspected to have committed a crucial he has committed is crucial to the case. So, kailangan may attorneys or law enforcement, may lawyers na mag-a-assist sa kanya. Extrajudicial confession, ang ibig sabihin ng extrajudicial confession, wait, ang confession, ang ibig sabihin is, it is the acknowledgement of guilt, direct acknowledgement of guilt. Inaamin niya na siya talaga yun. So, kailangan may lawyer or counsel counsel na mag-take note of that na nagbigay siya ng confession. Pag yung confession ay nangyari sa labas ng korte, extrajudicial confession ang tawag natin. Pero pag yung confession ay ginawa niya mismo during the hearing or sa loob ng korte, that's judicial confession. Okay? Guess natin? Case referral naman, ito yung one. The case officer should prepare the case referral to the inquest prosecutor for the latter's appropriate recommendation. Case referral and related documents needed by the prosecutor should be reviewed by the legal officer for his appraisal, evaluation, recommendation, and legal advice. Itong tinatawag, itong itong legal officer natin ito is under the PNP yan. Okay? Yung bakit mayroong case referral? Kung yung investigator doon on case, okay, or yung officer, yung buong kaso kasi, i-refer niya sa prosecutor. Ibibigay niya lahat ng ebidensya sa prosecutor and then the prosecutor will uh, review the case and siya yung magpapal ng information sa korte para magkaroon ng hearing sa kaso. Collation of evidence, progress report, documentation, okay, case preparation, okay, testifying in court. Ang magte-testify sa korte, yung victim, yung mga witnesses, the prosecutor, okay, against the offender, and yung mga law enforcer. Monitoring of cases, case monitoring, okay na yan. So, okay na yung case monitoring. Huwag na natin patagalin pa doon. So, that's all for lesson. That's for lesson 13, anti-kidnapping. Kung may katanungan kayo, just ask me sa messenger. Same instruction for your requirements. Just follow the instruction. Hindi nyo maintindihan or meron kayong hindi maintindihan sa lesson, just ask me sa messenger so we will have our discussion there. Thank you, guys.